South Africa, a court in Sudan has sentenced a 19-year-old woman to death for killing her husband after he violated her. The judge at the court in Omdurman confirmed the death penalty after the husband's family refused the possibility of financial compensation. When she was 16, Noura Hussein was forced into a marriage by her family, but she ran away. 3 years later, she says she was tricked into returning home by her own family, who then handed her over again to her husband. 6 days later, she says he recruited some of his cousins who held her down as he raped her. When he attempted to do the same the following day, she lashed out at him with a knife and stabbed him to death. At her trial, the judge offered the husband's family the option of forgiving Noura, but they chose execution instead. Her case has attracted widespread attention on social media, where a campaign called Justice for Noura has been trending. So let's get more on this story from Saif Magango, Amnesty International's Deputy Regional Director for East Africa. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Now, most rights groups have condemned the death sentence passed on Noura Hussein and are calling for a retrial. But how possible is it for her to have a fair trial in a country where child marriage is actually legal?
Yes, that's the question, but we have to try nonetheless. What is true in this case is that the court refused to hear her defense that she was acting in self-defense as a result of her husband's attempt to rape her. And this is something that needs to be brought to a judge, something that needs to be heard in court. And that is what might make the difference between the death penalty being carried out and the case possibly being, this sentence being revoked.
Now, the focus at the moment is to get justice for Noura. But what about the issue of child marriage, forced marriage and marital rape? How can these issues be tackled in Sudan and even other countries where they are being practiced?
All these issues are very important, but the most urgent at the moment is to prevent her execution. And the others are long-term issues that can be dealt with in due course with the passing of time. Sudan has been a patriarchal society for millennia, thousands of years, and it will take a concerted effort, a lot of pressure, a lot of action to make sure that child marriage, all these and forced marriage can come to an end. But what is critically important at the moment is to get the judges to hear the case, and that's why the hashtag Justice for Noura is so topical. What is missing here is true justice. A girl who was married at a tender age, forced to marry her cousin, raped, and ended up killing someone in self-defense should not be subject to the death penalty. And a judge needs to hear this case and hear her mitigating circumstances and revoke this sentence of death. At the very least, that needs to happen. Then we can deal with issues of the systematic issues in due course. And this is not to say that they're not important. They are very important. But what is of critical importance at this moment is to ensure that she's not subjected to this cruel and inhuman punishment.
Now, finally, Saif, I know Amnesty International is campaigning for the abolition of the death penalty worldwide. But what about in cases of terrorism where some attacks claim many lives at once? Is the use of the death penalty justified in those cases?
The death penalty is not justified under any circumstances, regardless of the offense committed or the means under which the penalty is administered. The death penalty is the most cruel and inhuman form of punishment. Instead of the authorities ensuring the right to life for everyone, when it carries out the death penalty, it is taking away the right to life, and that is unacceptable. Many studies have shown that the death penalty is not effective or any more effective than any other penalty in curbing crime, in reducing the chances of people repeating crime. And people don't go to commit crimes thinking, or if I might be caught and executed. No, criminals will commit crimes, and the death penalty does not deter them in any way. And this is not me speaking, but scientific research has been conducted into this and has been conclusive. So there's no room for the death penalty in any country whatsoever, and we are heartened that many countries are dropping this penalty, and those who continue to carry it out are more increasingly in the minority.
Saif Magango, Amnesty International's Deputy Regional Director for East Africa, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Meanwhile, a Nigerian diplomat has been killed in Khartoum, the Sudanese capital. The special assistant to the president on foreign affairs and the diaspora, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Arewa, confirmed the incident and named the victim as Habibu Almu, an immigration attaché in Sudan. The body of the officer was allegedly found in his home amid reports that he may have been assassinated. Reports on social media also suggest that the killers used a knife in the attack, but security sources on Sunday in Sudan say they are investigating the cause of his death. There's been reports of repeated violence and killings in Sudan, particularly in the southern and western regions of the country. Gambia is selling several planes and a fleet of luxury cars brought by former President Yahya Jammeh as it seeks to reduce a mountain of crippling debts contracted during the authoritarian leader's decades-long rule. President Adama Barrow set up a commission that visited Mr. Jammeh's many properties to establish an inventory of his possessions with the aim of recovering looted assets. The International Monetary Fund had warned Gambia against any new borrowing after its debt stock reached 130% of gross domestic product at the end of last year. Gambia was once under one of West Africa's most oppressive regimes as Mr. Jammeh acquired vast wealth, much of which he packed into planes and carried with him into exile in Equatorial Guinea. Still to come on the program, our Africa Tech segment focuses on embracing blockchain technology in Africa. Please stay with us for details.